Hello, everyone. Welcome to the demo party for Azure SQL Managed Instance. Glad to see you. My name is Mladen Andrić. I'm a program manager in Azure SQL Managed Instance team. Today with me is my colleague, Vlad.
Hey, my name is Vladimir. Glad to be here. Nice to see you all.
So we envisioned this 30 minutes as fully packed with the demos. So let's immediately start. So when we discussed where to start from, we decided, let's start with the good news. And what is good news? Sorry. Good news is that we have new SQL MI free offer that everyone can try out now. So far, you would need to pay, or you would need to have some of your corporate subscription types in order to try managed instance. What is coming very soon, in a few weeks, is a completely free offer of SQL Managed Instance. What is very important to say is that you have 12 months to use Managed Instance. It's 720 hours a month. So what does it mean? So you can do this 8 hours a day, 5 days a week for an entire month, and you can repeat it for 12 months without paying anything. Now we are taking care that we start and stop your instance at the beginning of the day, at the end of the day. This is predefined schedule of 8 days each working day. However, you can modify this schedule for you to anything that is more convenient to you. So you can use up to 8 vCores of your instance. The default is 4 vCores and 64 terabytes of data, so this should be really a good offering. So let's quickly see how it's going to look like. I'm now switching to Portal. I won't go through all the fields on the Managed Instance Creation Blade. That's something that my colleague Vlad is going to do in a few minutes. Just wanted to let you know about this apply free offer thing. You can see on the right-hand side, basically here, if I zoom it out, that there is currently a cost indicated for your managed instance monthly cost until you apply this free offer. Once you apply the free offer, it becomes completely free for you, as I said, for 12 months. So one way to apply this offering is to go directly to the create experience for managed instance. However, we also made sure to make it available in other places. For example, if you are using Azure Arc SQL Server extension for your SQL Server, it might be even easier for you to create your free managed instance and basically load your data from your SQL Server for easier validation directly from the portal. So here I am on the portal blade for Azure Arc enabled SQL Server 2022. And now on the capabilities tab, I can go to this new option, fully managed replica in Azure. What it does is that it opens a new side blade where you can, again, in the first step, create free or paid instance of managed instance. When I say free or paid, it's up to you. So basically, you can, again, if this is early validation phase, you can simply come here and apply the offer. If you are basically ready even to migrate your Arc-enabled SQL Server, you would use the paid instance. So it's as easy like that. So now that you have created your instance, let's see what would be the next logical step for the validation. Obviously, to load some of the data to your managed instance. How you can do that? You can do that in multiple different ways. Typically, you would take a backup of your database to Azure Storage and then restore it to your managed instance. Or if you are currently hosting your managed instance your SQL Server in some other cloud, you can also take a backup of your SQL Server to, let's say, S3 compatible storage account or S3 bucket, and then restore it from there. So I will quickly show you how to restore a backup of your database to SQL Managed Instance from S3 bucket. So what I have here is, in the first step, we need just to create a credential that we are going to use to access the S3 bucket. I already did this. As you can see, this is just a placeholder for the actual access key and secret key. I can show you quickly that I have already this managed instance. Sorry, I haven't connected. So here you will see in a second that we already have this credential pre-created for S3. OK, here it is. What is important to note is that the name of the credential needs to correspond to actual URI of your S3 bucket. That is how your credential is being mapped to the actual path. OK, once we have our credential created, we can do a restore. Let's first see what we have in this backup. Okay, so this is some pretty simple backup with just one file. And then let's do the restore. It will take like 10-ish seconds, not more, because this is really a small database. And voila, you created your free managed instance. You can validate it for 12 months. Using the backup restore, for example, you restored your data and can start actual validation. So this is one way to basically load data into your instance. Now there are other ways. Okay, so this is finished. Let me show you another way to do the same thing. We are not in the presentation mode anymore, sorry. So here I am now in the SSMS. I am connected to my SQL Server instance. I have SalesDB there. I'm also connected to managed instance. There are no databases yet. So I'm now starting wizard, basically. This wizard creates new managed instance link. I'm giving the name to the link. I'm creating the secondary instance. This is basically based on the distributed availability groups technology. Okay, I created the secondary, just keep skipping the summary, and voila, we have created distributed availability group. We now refresh the secondary. We can see that our SalesDB database is now replicated to my managed instance. So this way, what we achieved, we created a distributed availability group that replicated initial state of my database from SQL Server to my SQL managed instance. And going forward, I have the active distributed availability group link that I can use, not just use, I mean automatically all the changes from your SQL Server will be near real time replicated to your SQL managed instance. Now I can run in this way using SQL managed instance as my secondary or a readable replica or as my disaster recovery site for indefinitely, for as long as I want. And at some moment, if I want to actually migrate to managed instance and use it as a primary, I can simply now run another wizard. So in this wizard, I'm going just to start the failover. I'm using plain failover here. I'm just logging into my SQL Server using my credentials. Okay, in the next step, I choose to not to remove the links. I want to use it after failover, and we are done. That's it. We now did the failover. And now, after this moment, my managed instance is now primary, and my SQL Server is now secondary. I flipped the direction of the replication, and now I can also use my on-prem system as a backup in case, you know, of any need to do the switch again. Okay, so this is about how you can create your free offering of managed instance, how you can load the data, how you can keep the data in sync between on-premises and your SQL managed instance, how you can very easily fail over and actually do the migration. And now my colleague Vlad will explain what happens once you're in managed instance.
Thanks, Mladen. As we switch the laptops, quick show of hands. How many of you are using SQL Managed Instance today?
Quite a few.
A lot. OK. So I guess to those who are familiar with SQL Managed Instance, the following, one sec, awesome. The following will be fairly familiar, but I'll still recap. SQL Managed Instance is a very robust, a very powerful way to run SQL Server because it comes with many of its capabilities pre-baked and built in. So many of these things are downright impossible to do within a month when you're running on premises, because changing your hardware configuration or scaling your instance from, say, 8 to 80 vCores requires a whole procurement process. But we've engineered this into the service at the click of a button. So what's going to happen is, unlike most of the SQL Server demos where I will be sweating here, trying to establish replication, do all the fancy juggling and jumping through hoops, just to show you how one of these things can be done, over here we can go through all of these demos in like 10 or 15 minutes, just to the Azure portal. So if you have a favorite topic, or there's something particularly interesting here for you to see, we're going to do a little vote, right? So But before that, I just want to show the upper left-hand side, the instance scalability in action for those of you who possibly haven't seen Managed Instance yet. So we're going to go to the portal here. This is what Mladen showed you. This is my demo instance, conveniently labeled and called SQL Pass Demo. I'm running in this general purpose service tier. And this is my overview blade, right? Well, overview panel, right? It shows the key details for my instance. But as we go to this compute and storage panel, this is where magic starts to happen. Because you can see which service tier you're running in, and you can easily change at the push of a button. Moreover, if I'm choosing business critical, now the zone redundancy, which is one of our disaster recovery options, now unlocks. I can also customize my hardware generation, right? So instead of running in a standard series hardware, which is based on Intel Broadwell CPUs, I can upgrade to Intel Ice Lake, which are much more powerful. And or I can customize the number of vCores I'm using or storage, all of this or any of this. And as I update my configuration, all I need to do is click apply. What's going to happen is we're going to run a process which is going to rebuild your instance at your target parameters, asynchronously behind the scenes. And once the process is done, it'll do a failover. So this is going to be fully online. You can continue to use your instance, and we'll do all the heavy lifting in the background. And this is one of the magical capabilities brought by Azure SQL. It makes it very easy for me to demo. I can just click all of these buttons, and you'll have 5 demos in one click, which is downright impossible in any other system, right? So this is going to be our intro to this. Any questions at this time? This seems fairly straightforward. Perfect, perfect. All right, let me answer that. And I want to show you just one slide, which is the service tiers. This one is really important. The general purpose service tier is based on remote storage. It stores the data files and the log files on Azure storage. It's premium storage, high performance. But it still involves a network hop between the database compute and the database storage. There's just one VM holding the database instance. If that VM goes down for, let's say, hardware malfunction, we're going to restart your SQL Server on another VM, same region. That's going to take a couple of seconds, right? But it's fully automatic. Business critical, on the other side, is based on the familiar always-on technology from on-premises, has 4 replicas by default, one of which is a readable secondary, which is built into the cost. So you have a readable replica built in. And as you can imagine, if there's any kind of hardware malfunction on the primary replica, the failover will be very fast, and then you'll have a hot standby to run with. Moreover, very importantly, this comes to your questions about performance. Business Critical is the only cloud offering out there based on local storage. So it's essentially an unfair competition to anybody else, including general purpose and all of the other cloud providers that also run on remote storage. You get blazing fast performance and pretty much infinite throughput with Business Critical and extremely low latency on the writes. So that's about the technology, right? So if I were to upgrade from general purpose to Business Critical, and pretty much any other configuration, right, any change, what's going to happen is we're going to rebuild your target configuration in the background by seeding the data. It's similar to an online index build, for example, right? And then once the target configuration is ready, there's going to be a disconnect and a failover, so your next connection is going to go to the target destination. And that whole machinery, which appears magical because I can do a lot of stuff with push of a button, is something that happens millions of times per day or hundreds of thousands of times per day in the live service, so it's extremely robust. And unlocks a lot of power at your hands, right? You no longer have to think about what I'm going to need in 5 years down the road. You don't have to commit to a particular hardware, particular storage size, particular CPU generation. Anything new comes out. Zone redundancy has just been announced. I can immediately consume it. So I want to come back to our menu, because we only have 30 minutes, but there's a lot here to choose from. So if somebody has a favorite topic that they'd like to see, or we can pick, or so you can pick. Cost optimization. Awesome. Anybody else interested in seeing how you can optimize costs? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 votes for cost. Backups. How many votes do we get for backups? Who wants to see backups? 1, 2, 3, 3. Backups, 3. Okay. Any other topics? We can start security. Okay. I want to start with security because it's extremely easy. It's one click. Here's what I need to do. I'm going to go to my other instance because this one does not have the security features turned on. But this beautiful thing called Microsoft Defender for Cloud is essentially a service. It has a free plan and a paid plan with much more capabilities. It's easy to enable. There's a free 30-day trial. And it's essentially your artificial intelligence machine learning service that learns and quickly applies the insights to you, recommendations, alerts, security status, anything. This is one of the major advantages of essentially running in the cloud, and through Azure Arc, you can connect this to your other SQL deployments. With security being very fast, the cost optimization got the most votes, so we're going to go there. There's a number of things here. The newest thing is probably start-stop. So I want to show you how that works. Start-stop is a feature in the general purpose service tier that allows you to create a custom schedule. Okay, a custom schedule on when your instance is going to be active or paused. I don't have a schedule here, so what I need to do is, if I wanted to say do regular working hours, something's wrong. Oh, we're restarting the videos. Okay, that gives me a few seconds to surprise you.
Maybe the cable.
Okay. Reconnecting HDMI. Okay. So Monday 9 a.m. To 5 p.m. and so on. I can click like this forever, but to create my custom schedule. But as you can see, if I were to start my instance at 9 a.m. and shut it down at 5 p.m., I'll be saving 95% of compute time. And if I were to add this incrementally more days, so let's do Tuesday, 9 a.m. Not edit, sorry, but add new. Say Tuesday, 09 a.m. to Tuesday, 05 p.m. Right? Now our saving is slightly smaller because we're up for 2 days by 8 hours. But again, this will come to about 73% if I remember correctly. Why is this important? Because you can't actually get your instance up in a second. There are processes that have to happen asynchronously. But when we understand your schedule, when you want your instance to be up, we can front load this and kick the processes off ahead of time so you have your instance up when you need it. And you start paying for it based on the schedule. This is something which is already baked into the freemium offer, the free tier that Madden mentioned. So using this for general purpose instances is extremely important because it saves considerable amount of expenses since it shuts down the compute and hence the licenses, which are the largest part of your costs. The other piece of cost optimization is here. Speaking about the licenses, right? There's a button here which is very important, which says Azure Hybrid Benefit. Azure Hybrid Benefit allows you to reuse your licenses you've purchased on premises for your Azure databases. So if you already have a license for SQL Server or you're migrating one of your existing with SA, then you can apply the license over here. The new item from earlier this year is hybrid failover rights. This is similar to the on-prem benefit. So in a disaster recovery setup, if your secondary instance is just a passive standby, you can also forfeit your license costs. So license is free of charge. So that will essentially reduce your licensing cost. And I want to show you how you can reduce your compute costs, which is...
We have a question.
Oh.
On the hybrid, is there a time frame on that, or as far as licensing?
So,
On-prem license, you kind of take advantage of the Azure hybrid benefit. So there's like a 12-month period.
yeah, so the question was, what's the time frame around the license? It is based on the time frame of your contract on premises. So whatever the duration is on premises, you can transfer your license essentially to managed instance instead.
So can you activate it? Yeah. Yeah. So if you have software assurance, you have multiple types of benefits. One of them is so-called dual rights. Dual rights give you right for 6 months to run the same licenses both on premises and in the cloud. This is dual rights. Azure Hybrid Benefit is about license mobility. So after 180 days, after 6 months, as long as you have software assurance, you can use those licenses and move them to the cloud. But you cannot use them anymore on both places. This is applicable as long as you renew your software assurance benefit.
Thank you, Mother. So about the reduction of compute costs, right? So this is about the license. There's a capability in Azure called reserved compute, which is a parallel service. It applies to other Azure products in addition to managed instance, and allows you to essentially reserve capacity for a period of time, ahead of time, and pay less for it. So here's the SQL database in SQL Managed Instance. And I have pre-filtered this list here. So what we're going to see is if I want to buy a SQL Managed Instance business critical, let's say with premium series compute, and commit for 1 year, it's going to give me a lower price by 35%. And if I were to commit to 3 years, I'm going to get an even bigger discount of 55%. So if you want to commit to a period of time, you can considerably reduce your costs. And again, it's very easy, a declarative click of a button. And obviously, the largest, we're going to come back to our slide to make sure that we've covered everything. The largest discount is the free offer that we mentioned. So the combination of all of this allows you to evaluate easily. And once you move in and feel comfortable managed instance, you want to commit for a longer period of time, you can enjoy significantly lower prices going forward.
We have a few more minutes for backups.
Yes, OK. Let's do backups, and then we'll move to the next part of our program. Here. OK. I just want to select a different instance, because this one is brand new. And for backups, the other one, which I've created a longer time ago, is going to give us more to work with. So first off, when we talk about backups, you can see all of the backups that you already have, and it's essentially easy for you to manage and see what you want to do. The important part about this is service takes care of the backups, and you just need to create the policy. So the retention policies allow you to actually pick how long you want to store and keep these backups. The backup storage is free of charge for the same amount of storage you're paying for your main instance. But you can also extend it. So depending if you want to keep, or you have to keep your you have compliance requirements to keep your backup, say, for more than the 35 days, more than the retention period, including for many years in the back. This is easy to do by creating a custom policy. And then over here, let's say we want to pick one of our backups and configure the policy. You can choose to to keep your backups for up to 35 days to be able to do point-in-time restore. This is something we're going to show later on. But you can also, for long-term retention, decide to keep your weekly backups for n amount of weeks, monthly backups, yearly backups, and so on. If you choose to use long-term retention, you're going to pay an additional cost, but this gives you the flexibility to create a policy and then ensure that you're compliant and the service is going to take care about this. That's the backup side. Again, you can easily customize what you need, both for short-term and long-term retention. Now, coming back to the restore side, let's say we want to do one of these guys. Oh, here, sorry, where are the retention policies? There we go. So this is the part that I wanted to show over here. So this is a backup of my database wide world importers. The earliest restore point I could choose is the 9th of November, but I could also pick a particular point in time to a very fine precision that I want to restore this database to. So you just don't say, I need this database as of 5 p.m. and 7 minutes and 37 seconds yesterday. Push a button, you get it. So extreme flexibility in terms of what you want to keep and how you want it to be kept, and also when you want to restore it, at what point you want to restore it. Does that help illustrate the power of the built-in backup and restore? Okay, time check. We want to stop here. I want to get back, give the word back to Mladen to show us the next stage.
Thanks, Vlad. So we have 3 more minutes and 2 more topics that we prepared. So we obviously cannot cover both. This one I will cover through the slide because it would take much longer to go through the actual demo. So this is about how you modernize further once you migrate to your managed instance. So you're now in a good neighborhood. One of the good neighbors of Azure SQL Managed Instance in the Microsoft Cloud is Microsoft Fabric, right? So there is one really great capability of Azure SQL Managed Instance that can be used for integration with Microsoft Fabric. It's called data virtualization. If you remember Polybase from the previous versions of SQL Server, this is now new and improved Polybase. We call it now data virtualization. This is the same one from SQL Server 2022. So what you can do, you can run create external table as select or short CTS command on your SQL Managed Instance and basically put the result set of your query, any query, into Parquet files into Azure Data Lake storage. And once you, even though those data is now in files in Azure Data Storage, it is still within the reach of your let me restart the presentation, sorry, it's not reacting. Okay, cool. It works now. So even though the data is now in the files, not anymore in your managed instance, you still have this object of external table, which is like, empty shell. But it points into your data in the Parquet files. So you can still do a select commands and query your data, which is in Parquet files, through these external tables. Moreover, you can also, cross-join your local data and your remote data in the external tables. So what does it have to do with the Microsoft Fabric? So it turns out that basically the One Lake component of Microsoft Fabric is built on top of Azure Data Lake Storage. So what you actually can do, you can actually do this CTest command or offload your data directly to the One Lake of Microsoft Fabric. And once your data is in One Lake, you can use any of the 7 analytical components of Microsoft Fabric to actually do the analysis, cooking of your data, and so on. In addition, once it's One Lake, it's also reachable by other tools like MS Office. Okay, so this is just about this capability of integrating data from your managed instance with Microsoft Fabric. The last topic is, okay, you validated very easily your managed instance with our free offer. You migrated your data. You benefited instantly from these PaaS offerings that Vlad mentioned about security, about cost optimizations, about backups, meaning BCDR strategy and so on. You furtherly benefited from this good neighborhood of our managed instance by integrating with Fabric. But okay, we are aware that not entire estate will come to the cloud. So part of your data estate might be on some other place. So how you can again combine your data from Azure SQL Managed Instance with the rest of your systems which are somewhere else. So the good news is that Azure SQL Managed Instance supports all the technologies that you know and love from the SQL Server, from service broker to linked servers to transactional replication. You can use any of these technologies to basically replicate data in one direction or in the other direction. Moreover, we also improved the managed instance link capability so that now you can also do this near real-time replication of your data through the managed instance link, which is based on distributed availability groups, from your managed instance to your SQL Server 2022. Why is this important? Mostly because of the compliance reasons. So in more and more regions, in more and more geographies across the world, we see more and more regulators actually requiring our customers, typically from the financial industry, not just to have in place their strategy and plans for cloud exit drills. They actually want our customers to be able to prove and to actually do these drills each 6 months or so. So in these cases, and in order to actually have business continuity during these periods, it's important to have technology like this one to do this near real-time replication from cloud to some other places. So I will now quickly show you how this looks like. So we are again in the SSMS. I'm connected on one side with my managed instance. I have database there. I'm also connected to SQL Server 2022. There are no databases there at this moment. So I will start again a wizard to create managed instance link from managed instance to this SQL Server 2022, giving a name to this new link. In the next step, I see that SQL Server is ready. Now I'm selecting the database that I want to replicate. And then in the next step, I'm choosing, I need to maximize this window, and I'm choosing the SQL Server where I want to replicate my SalesDB database. Once I choose it, I can again minimize this. This is because SSMS is zoomed in. Once I log in, all the checks are done successfully. And then this is just a summary. We can skip this summary and start the actual migration. This step takes a couple of seconds. Basically, there is a REST API call behind this, but after that, it goes really, really fast. Few seconds also to join our SQL Server to these distributed availability groups, and it's done. So we now have established a near real-time connection, and we can see that the database is now replicated from managed instance to SQL Server 2022. If I refresh this, I can now see that I have distributed availability group, my SQL 2022 secondary. On the managed instance side, I can also see, once I refresh, that my MI is primary, and then the same, the AG on the secondary side on SQL Server 2022 is a secondary. Okay. Again, we have now established this replication from managed instance to SQL Server 2022 anywhere. Again, we can use this as a readable replica outside of Azure. You can use this, if you have your end customers that require a copy of your data, but for any reason cannot use managed instance, you can use this technology to provide near real-time copy of the data to your partners, to your end customers, to eligible third parties, right? But then if you want to use this as a disaster recovery scenario for these cloud exit drills, then you can also do a failover. So let me quickly show you how this looks like. So this time around, I'm going to start again the failover wizard. on the secondary side, meaning on the SQL Server. So I can choose between planned failover and forced failover. This time around, this is just a drill, so I'm using a planned failover. I'm going to log into my managed instance, just providing some credentials. Now I can choose to delete the link or keep the link after failover. Both options are valid. It really depends what you need. In this case, I am going to remove the link. And voila. After this, what we have is that the replication changed the direction. And now we can see after we refresh and after we check the availability groups, that we have now 2 standalone databases, and there is still AG on-premises on our highly available site, while our managed instance is now standalone database. So we have now 2 different copies. You can also do this if you want to, seed the replica of your managed instance somewhere outside of the cloud. And that's it.
We're a bit out of time. There was a lot that we wanted to show, and we couldn't show everything, but I hope you got a good